As the video game world began to transition into the 32-bit era, one thing was clear. This new generation of consoles was all about 3D games. You saw it in the arcade ports launching with the Saturn, and Sony's push to focus on polygons over pixels. But just because the mid-90s was flooded with games like Panzer Dragoon and Battle Arena Toshinden, that doesn't mean that every 32-bit game was caught in the third dimension. An original Saturn game called Astal stood out specifically because it wasn't 3D, instead showing the world how amazingly gorgeous a 2D platformer could look using the brand new hardware. Unfortunately, it didn't sell very well, and Sega never made a sequel. But that's not going to stop us from celebrating one of the prettiest games of 1995. Turn back now if you don't want to know what happens next, because today we're going to spoil the story and ending for Astal on the Sega Saturn. This is Game Over, the early years. "2D platformers were in a weird place in 1995. They had so thoroughly dominated the 8 and 16-bit generations that many wondered if there was anything left to do with the genre. I would argue that Astal expertly answers a lot of the questions and concerns that gamers had at the time. It not only painted a stunning world that looked substantially better than anything that had come out on the Genesis, but it also used the CD storage space to construct elaborate cinemas that brought you into the story like never before. Normally, this would be the point where I would set up the story and the characters, but because the opening cinema does such a wonderful job of it, we're just gonna roll the film and give you a taste of the real power of 32-bit storytelling. Here is how the game introduces us to Astal.
Somewhere in the universe, the goddess Antawas created a world from a single jewel. She created the earth, water, sky, and air. And 2 humans from a red jewel and a green jewel. From the red jewel, a boy named Astal. And from the green jewel, a girl, Lida. Lida had the power to create life. Astal's purpose was to protect Lida. Astal protected her fiercely, sometimes too fiercely. He caused Lida shame and sorrow. Still, she loved him. Lida loved Astal. After creating this world, Antawas slept and didn't see the danger to come. As she slept, the evil god Gerardo stole her creation. He sought to change the world to suit his wicked tastes, but Lida and Astal resisted. So Gerardo made his own human, Geist, and told him to destroy Lida. Geist took Lida to the bottom of the sea. Astal pursued them in a rage. In his desperation to rescue Lida, Astal cracked the bottom of the ocean. Lida was free, but the ocean was ruined. The battle awakened Antawas. When she saw what Astal had done, she banished him. But Lida took pity on Astal and gave him her jewel. After banishing Astal, Antawas battled Gerardo and defeated him. And Antawas slept again.
Immediately after the goddess Antawas goes back to sleep, Geist sees his opportunity to once again kidnap Lita. Astal watches this happen from his moon prison and breaks free of his chains in order to once again rescue his true love. What he finds is a world that continues to be plagued with Gerado's monsters, so he'll have to use his super-powered strength and blowing skills to bring life and happiness back to this once peaceful world. But first, he needs to rescue this bird, which won't leave him alone. Trust me, this bird has plenty of chances to fly away. And even when Astal tries to shake it by going into the dark and scary cave, his feathered friend refuses to budge. Yeah, these two are in it for the long haul, even if that means taking on a massive one-eyed bat. What they don't realize is that Geist is following close behind, collecting souls and watching every move they make. After Astal fights with his traveling companions some more, they find themselves in the deep forest, where our hero discovers a ghoulish variety of evil birds that he can't wait to punch. I have to imagine that this is cathartic for a guy who's already having some bird troubles. They make their way to the River of Dreams, a colorful stage where we ride on the back of a helpful creature. Wait a second, did I say the creature was helpful? Yeah, well, that's up for debate, because he drops Astal off at the deadly Forest Fiend, a giant man-eating plant surrounded by evil trees. Once again, we see that Geist is watching our hero, but now we have a new wrinkle. It seems that Gerado is also back and growing stronger by the minute. There's no time to rest, so Astal and his birds set out on a harrowing journey to cross an erupting volcano before bursting into flames. It's here where they discover a fire dragon, because of course they do. Thankfully, our hero is really good at blowing things, so he huffs and puffs and blows the dragon away, allowing him to continue on his path through the sea of clouds. Folks, I think we're finally on the right track here. But what does Lita think of all of this? While the unlikely duo make their way through the sea of clouds, they hear an impassioned plea from the damsel in distress begging Astal to give up hope and let her go. Yeah, this does not convince our hero, who now finds himself fighting those evil birds again in the glacial rift. This turns out to be a trap, and Astal is quickly encased in a ball of ice. Now it's up to the purple bird to save its friend, even if that friend has been kind of a jerk this entire time. Having been saved by the bird, Astal finally realizes that he's been bottling up a lot of emotions and taking them out on his feathered friend. He felt guilty about his role in destroying the world, something that he spent a long time refusing to admit. He finally let it all out and cried. And on the other side of that cry was a better man who's even more determined to right the wrongs and save Lita. But before he can do that, Astal needs to figure out how to get past this giant sand monster. With a lot of luck and good timing, the duo manages to sneak under the beast's belly without getting smashed. But all that does is anger the monster, who ends up chasing the hero to the far edge of the desert. It's here where Astal finds a portal to a floating platform in the sky, and who do we have here? That's right, it's time to face destiny and defeat Geist. This sets up an epic battle against a guy who's been following our hero this whole time. And let me tell you, the stakes could not be higher. With Lita's life on the line, we knock out the bad guy and get ready to reap the rewards. But wait a second, what's this? Something's wrong.
I don't get it. I'm stronger than he is. Why can't I win? Why? Why?
Pathetic! You can't even defeat a little boy! I'm very disappointed in you, Geist! Not so cocky now, are you? I can crush you like a bug! You can't win, Astal. It's too late. How does it feel to be my little toy? Frustrating, isn't it? Once you could have defeated me, but not anymore. Your weakness bores me, Astal. Ready? Time for you to die!
Wow!
Now, nothing stands in my way. This world is mine! I'm so happy! How best to celebrate my victory? Destroy everything, yes, and begin again. No, this can be!
I'm not dead yet, Gerardo. You're finished! Yeah!
Alright, now we've done it. We've unleashed the power of Gerardo, who's been waiting for his chance to finally defeat Astal once and for all. But that doesn't happen, because the power of love is too strong. Also, his superhuman strength and blowing skills come in clutch, but I think we can all agree that it's a lot more poetic to credit the power of love. The point is, Astal defeats Gerardo, the bird gets teleported by a green sphere, and this is what happens next.
Astal! Astal, Lida, listen to me. Gerardo's shadow is now gone from this world. And Lida is free of Gerardo's dark magic. Astal, it wasn't my power that let you defeat Gerardo. You discovered compassion. I could not give this to you. Compassion brings strength, Astal. Remember this. Now my work is done. I leave this world to you. And I leave to you the power of creation. Use it wisely. Farewell, Astal and Lida. Bring happiness to the world. This is my final command.
You know what? That's a whole lot of story for what amounts to being a damsel in distress story. That said, I do like the reveal that the bird was Lita this whole time, but seriously, who didn't see that coming? I feel like more could have been done with that. It's a good idea, though. I mean, Astal spends most of the game yelling at the bird, which means that he's effectively yelling at Lita. Yeah, that's not a great look. But again, I suppose it doesn't really matter since they're basically the only two people in the world and they're created to be together. But still, I guarantee that Lita's gonna bring this up every single time they have an argument. Now, when it comes to the game, I'm fine with it being a standalone story. Sega could have probably found a way to milk a couple of sequels out of it, but there's nothing really begging for that here. It feels complete, which is rare for a lot of platformers. Even if the story's a little corny and the reveal is super obvious, I still found this ending to be satisfying. That's definitely not something that I can say about a lot of Mario and Sonic games, which tend to just abruptly end. If nothing else, Astal was a signal that our favorite video game genres were about to get a lot more cinematic. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a good thing. Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Game Over. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new episodes almost every week. In fact, we have a whole playlist with well over 100 of these episodes. You should check it out. Now, here's the question I have for you. What Sega game is in most need of a sequel or reboot? I don't mean to steal a popular choice right off the bat here or anything, but I have to throw my hat in for a single-player Phantasy Star game. Yeah, I wish that Sega would do something with that RPG that isn't a massively multiplayer game. Anyway, let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back shortly with a review of both the Ramp and the Falconeer. If that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,